Did I start without my mic muted? What? Oh my goodness. Hello. Happy Tuesday. We are one day away from 420. I cannot believe it. But if you happen to be watching this live, we are about to get started with our small business clinics. Let me go ahead and get this going in present mode. I don't want to waste too much of your time here. Let's go ahead and slide on in there. All right, so I hope that you all are doing well. Happy Tuesday once again. It is 4/19, or it is an amazing day, the day that we are here presenting with you our small business clinics. We're super excited to bring to you our newest in the series. As you know, we have a workforce initiative, and now we have officially launched our small business and entrepreneurship initiative. Let me go ahead and move myself there so you can see our commitment is to connect the community to pathways in the cannabis ecosystem. And for those who are watching live, be sure to take note of that because we've got brownie points at the end. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get this party started. Of course, if you are not new to this but true to this, you know that I am doing this in a bit of a dual setup. This is our game plan, our agenda for tonight. We will be talking a bit about, if you don't know why you're here, we'll be talking about starting, growing, and building a business in the cannabis ecosystem. I'm currently in the Maryland market, but this can apply for all of the markets, especially if you're looking to break into the industry. So I'm going to go ahead and slide into this presentation because, like I said, had a little bit of technical difficulties earlier, but we're not going to let that stop the show because it's EMC week, y'all. So the goal of this presentation is we want you to learn about the opportunities for building, growing, and launching your cannabis business and brand. We want you to be able to pivot your skills and make a true impact with your influence in this growing industry. Now, that's a mouthful. I will say that. But one thing is for certain. If you can look all the way up at the top of the slide, there's a very small print that says, if you're looking for a sign, here it is. We'll talk about a bit of the pain points that, kind of come across starting a business in this volatile industry and ecosystem, amongst some other things. I'll be sharing a bit about my journey. We'll be talking a bit about some of our community partners. It's just going to be a fun night. So, as you all know, I love to use this amazing platform called StreamYard. You can view this live, you can comment live. I will be saving all of the questions to the end because I want to make sure that we get that information to you. And of course, shout out to our members who are watching this live. So if you are not a part of the membership, you're missing out on all of the behind the scenes, all of the great tools that we'll be able to share, and the follow-up conversations that happen after this. So, like I said, let's get started. All right. So if you are not familiar with who Explore Maryland Cannabis is, we are a community membership and outreach organization supporting the cannabis ecosystem through two avenues, which is education and access. We've got big vision, big goals, big dreams. Our vision is to cultivate an informed and connected cannabis ecosystem here in Maryland. And we have been doing that since 2018 and will continue to as long as there is a need to, for sure. This presentation that is actually appearing live on YouTube is sponsored by the Connected Ecosystem. The Connected Ecosystem is our parent brand. They are the ones which Explore Maryland Cannabis is now housed under. So not only do they manage the communities, they also manage talent and influencer management and also cannabis strategy and consulting. So if you have any needs for those offerings, be sure to reach out to us at the Connected Ecosystem. Talking about business, let's get back to talking about what we do. First things first, we connect cannabis employees and candidates to resources and opportunities to be employed and stay employable in the cannabis workforce. We also host engaging and informative events. If you've ever been to any of our events, you know they are super, super dope and super informative because we got to keep you informed. And of course, last but not least, we cultivate our communities by developing safe spaces and experiences in cannabis. So, over the last few months, we've done a variety of consumption and non consumption based events. So, if you're looking for a community that will allow you to kind of explore, no pun intended, the different facets of this ecosystem, be sure to tap into one of our many, many events because y'all, it's getting warm. It is getting warm, and the outdoor events are coming back. We would love to see you. Who we serve, of course, we serve everyone from patients to business owners, and our focus is to provide pathways to entrepreneurship and career development. So enough about who we are. Let's talk about who I am, right? So in celebration of this being Cannabis Awareness Month, we like to call it Cannabis Continuing Education Month. I love to start this presentation off with something that I've never done before, which is talking a little bit about myself and my journey into the cannabis space. So here's a picture of me at a grow class in 2016. I think I was learning how to clone. And one of the first things that I realized when I touched the plant outside of, consuming it for so many years was that I had a unique relationship to this plant. And I wanted to make sure that no matter what I was doing at the moment, I needed to make sure that cannabis was a part of it. So my journey started in 2016, and it's grown a lot since then. As you can see, I've gone to a few different avenues of kind of showing you what that journey looks like in hopes to inspire you to know that no journey is the same. I worked at a very traditional job where I got the newspaper and I kept up with what was going on in the Maryland cannabis ecosystem. I also still, I don't know, I'm going to see if I can see it. It's kind of blurry, but you can kind of see, I still keep whiteboards and, tear sheets and Post-its everywhere because I'm always dreaming, always building. And that is the sign of a business owner, is keep building that dream. And then last but certainly not least, one of my first, industry sides of the Maryland cannabis ecosystem was getting an opportunity to go through the SunMed Grow facility. And this is before their major expansion that they've had. So I'm looking forward to checking out what's different. So once again, I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. And I love, the being able to show folks that there are different ways for you to enter into this ecosystem. It doesn't have to necessarily be, a traditional job. So let's talk about the pain points of doing business. Like I said, I have been growing this particular community since 2018. Prior to that, my partner and I have been running a business for women of color in the ecosystem. So 3 pain points that we have learned in over 6 to 7 years of business coming up this year is that, one, there's the pain point of access. We'll talk about these pain points in detail. The second pain point is education, right? Cannabis is still a very new industry. A lot of things grow and change, and laws are set and then laws are rescinded. So education was a pain point because we didn't know where to go. And then of course, capital. With cannabis being still a federally scheduled illegal substance, getting capital, traditional funding through bank loans and other resources has been difficult, but there are ways. There are ways for sure. All right, let's talk about adult use. So adult use is a bit of the I don't like to say the elephant in the room, because when have y'all ever seen elephants in rooms, right? No, this is not the elephant in the room, but let's talk about the hot topic right now. So General Assembly, our legislative body, actually convened, or signed die. They ended their session, convened in the sense of it closing, not it opening, which is how they use it. But the bill HB1 was a referendum, went through the assembly, and it is now going to be sent to voters to be on the ballot for November 8th, which is big, right? It is a big, for once, I'm gonna go ahead and clap it up. It is a very, very huge moment because we are going to allow the voters, notwithstanding anything happening, but we will allow the voters to truly say what 64% of Marylanders have already said, that they want adult use in this state. But of course, during this session, No rules were set for retail sales, licenses, taxation, or anything resembling a recreational or adult use industry. And I use recreational and adult use interchangeably. I prefer the term adult use because recreational kind of sounds fun, whereas adult use is typically very defined, especially when it comes to our legislators. But this was pulled from the Outlaw Report, which is a Maryland resource for you all to follow up with as you build businesses in this space. They cover a lot of Maryland cannabis news. And so as you can see, the actual referendum was sent, but there's no real framework for how business is going to look in that market. Don't let that deter you though. Let's talk about why. First things first, we're going to talk about access. We're going to talk about access. So why do I say not to let that to deter you? Ooh, that was a tongue twister. Why do I say not to let that deter you? Because there's always another way. There's always another path. And I hope that I'm going to be able to draw a picture for you in this totality of this presentation. But first things first, there's other ways, right? So you can take your business, keep it moving, start it, run it. But also, if you're interested in actually tapping into the medical side of our industry, while there is businesses still operating on that side, supporting our medical cannabis industry per se, you can sign up as an ancillary business, right? If you've ever thought to take your gun license, or you got a cousin or a friend who may be in security and they're looking to kind of get started in the industry, we have 101 operating dispensaries. Okay, so think about that in the large scheme of where your business could be. Secure transportation is also another one, with that gun license, right? And then of course, waste disposal companies, where they're always talking about green waste, product, being left on the shelf. But the MMCC officially certifies these three ancillary businesses, in addition to independent testing labs, of course. But this here is a really great framework to sit, think, draw up a business plan, and scale out if it interests you. So think about security guards, think about secure transportation, that's delivery, that's transport to and from B2B, right? Or even B2C, depending on how you lay out your plan. And then, of course, the waste disposal company, because we got the green waste, y'all. We got the green waste. All right, so the other barrier and pain point to starting a business here was education, right? So we've got a few different institutions in our ecosystem which allow you to really kind of see how to level up your education, right? So we've got our master's programs, we've got our certificate programs. Those you can find if you're a member of the Explorers Crew, or if you're looking to kind of get that information. We have that in-house and we can get you that listing. Of course, training and events happen all the time in our state. You just search Eventbrite for cannabis-based events. And then I have a listing, which I guess did not make this slide, of active Maryland associations and organizations. But just to give you a few, there's Maryland NORML, there's the Maryland chapter of Americans for Safe Access. On the industry side, there's CanMD, there's the Maryland Medical Dispensary Association. So no matter where your professional or vendor space lies, there's a place for you to really kind of connect and get, an idea of what that sense looks like in the ecosystem, right? So think of it like this. If you are a provider, right? Say you're a nurse practitioner and you're looking to toe into this ecosystem, you for sure can become a registered provider. You can for sure get your information from some of our lovely subject matter experts who run courses and clinics around getting into the industry. But if you didn't know necessarily where to go, right, or where to start, these are some really great places to start, right? Sometimes when you Google things, it might be a little bit hard to find what you're looking for, but for sure, start here. Start with networking events that these organizations hold. We host monthly networking events as well. So you can start there, right? Getting to know some of the folks who are out there who are doing different things, for sure. Yes, yes. I got you. Don't worry. I got you. I got you. I got you. It's uploaded in our portal. But I think over the next couple of days we'll be putting that on our website for folks who are looking to really kind of tap in. So I'll just make sure I make a note for that. All right, so we're going to slide on to the next slide. Did y'all get that? Slide on to the next slide. Oh, that's where our organizations are. Okay, so like I mentioned, Americans for Safe Access has a Maryland chapter. The Marijuana Policy Project, if you're looking to really stay on top of what's happening legislatively, how people are voting, I will say, even though session just stopped for the season, it is an election year. There are some folks whose seats are up. There's some folks who are looking to transition out of their places. And the Marijuana Policy Project provides information around, what those candidates are really doing and how they're supporting, marijuana or cannabis legalization in the state. Of course, Maryland Normal gives us that rundown, especially during the voting time. CanMD, like I mentioned, and the Maryland Medical Dispensary Association, which you don't necessarily, I will say these, I place these particular organizations on this list because you don't have to be license holders or, folks of official status. I know folks who have started delivery companies. I know people who have started, human resources, CPAs, taxes, things like that. It's a great way, right, to tap into your ideal audience, right? So say you want to run payroll for, a licensee holder who holds, 3 locations or even 1 location. Shoot, maybe you just want to get your feet wet and get started that way. Being able to have access to these particular organizations, whether it's through a mailing list or actually signing up for a membership or going to a networking event, are great ways to kind of understand how your services will affect the cannabis ecosystem, right? Because cannabis taxes or cannabis books are different from healthcare books. There's different things that you have to have in play. So that's just something to think about. All right, so let's get to the meat of this. Let's talk about how to get started. And if I had a sound machine here, I'd play Black Eyed Peas, Let's Get It Started. And I definitely just aged myself. Anyway, first things first. So one thing about me, my background is in branding and marketing. So I'm always say you got to have something around your brand. You always have to be able to tell a story. You always have to be able to connect, because one thing's for certain, and I say this, adult use will come. And if folks can't remember your brand, if folks can't remember the product, if folks think that you are just that person who the one who writes the checks or whatever it may be, if it's not definable, if it's not gas, if it's not fire, if it's not memorable, then you're going to get drowned out on a sea of a whole bunch of other folks. So let's talk about how to define your position. This has been one of the easiest activities I've done when it comes to really sitting down and thinking about what I'm getting up to do every day, right? So I love to start with this particular impact statement. I, verb, or I could be your company, I could be you, I could be whatever. I, verb, do this by blank, right? So just an example. Explore Maryland Cannabis provides pathways to the cannabis ecosystem through education and access. That is usually the elevator pitch I use because it allows people to go, what's that? And then I could talk about the community membership. I can talk about the amazing social events that we have where people can feel safe consuming cannabis or not, right? Just being around community. I can talk about our virtual and in-person educational events that we are, offering to folks that really want to be able to generate wealth in this industry, right? Wealth or impact, right? That's why we're all here. That's why we're all here. It's either wealth, impact, or both. You choose. So flesh out, define your position. This is how you know where you want to sign up next, right? So I know that this is the defining statement of what we do, and I move accordingly. We strategically partner accordingly because of this. All right. All right, so I've got a bit of a case study because I love to show examples. This is a good friend and a connected collective influence member, Extreme Terps, which is owned by D Rock Palmer. It is a hemp based CBD product brand. And one of the things that I love about Extreme Terps is they love to live out loud. They also are very much community based. So let me see if I can pull up their website. Here we go. So D Rock's been running this brand for a very long time. Him and I are great friends, but beyond that, he's a really great businessman. And so, outside of the products, the information that they have on the website, outside of the branding and the marketing, which is so Maryland, right? If you're familiar with the skyline, you know this is the Baltimore skyline, and the products speak for themselves. I think one of the great things that D Rock has done is he has um, been able to define what this brand looks like outside of just himself. So when you look at his social platforms, which let me go ahead and see if I can pull that up there. Nope. Just see how often I type. All right, there we go. So if we go to Extreme Terps' social, we can see, his brand is on point. It's pretty much in the community. Good friend Martin Mitchell, hosts a podcast. He was featured there, talking about Gary Chambers, letting you know where he'll be popping up next, showing his product. I think that it just really, okay. I was hoping that I could show you a picture of him, or some of the great ways that he really kind of taps into the community. So shout out to D Rock. This is a great example of branding. This is a great example of defining yourself in a industry that is set to move. It's set to move mountains for sure. So one thing that D Rock does very well is he's established his identity. He is the first Maryland CBD brand. You'll see him at the community events. You'll know that if you ask him to speak about his journey and his position, he will, right? Want you to be able to find your people. And that's kind of what I talked about through the beginning of this presentation. Finding your people means, going to the networking events, seeking out who you want to impact. And by defining your position, it all helps you get connected. So set the course, be sure to follow those steps and keep your brand, I will tell you this, as authentic as possible. It doesn't have to be individualistic, but it has to be authentic. All right. And then last but not least, some of the things that I've stumbled over when I first jumped into this industry was getting my papers in order, right? No one told me this, but you really should register your business with the state that you're operating in. A lot of business folks will tell you, oh, Delaware, or they won't even tell you why Delaware, right? They'll just say register in Delaware. Register with your state, right? Especially if you're doing something as I don't like to use the word volatile, but that's the one that comes to mind. But something so volatile as cannabis, right? You want to be able to have a relationship with, the folks who are in your state, whether it's your legislator, whether it's your council person, whether it's your local small business development center associate, whether it's your banker, right? You want to be able to have them pull that information and not necessarily be like, well, you're not even truly registered where you say that you're supposed to be, right? It's a lot easier to get your applications through when folks like State Senator Jill P. Carter, who is active in the cannabis community, who, could throw you a suggestion or a resource because a local small business chamber wants to be able to have some type of community aspect or wants to have a service placed in their district. Think about it like that, right? Grow small and as authentic as you can, but stay connected. One of the things that I know has been the champion for me is that, and I love doing it, is through the relationships I build. I make sure that the relationships that are built not only are, we're not the best of friends, but do know that if you ask my opinion on something or vice versa, that communication won't be out of spite, won't be out of, misinformation. I know that if I've asked you business advice or if I asked you personal advice, it's going to be, what it is. So your relationships and your networks are important. They are super important, especially as you grow. Like I said, I've known D-Rock, like I said, since probably 2015, 2016. And to see how we have both grown in the cannabis industry through the pivots, through the changes, because if you're an OG member, Explore Maryland Cannabis wasn't always our name. And I've been doing this particular business 3 years, but I've been in the industry for 7. So there is that. Let me go ahead and slide into the last few of our presentation here. Also a gift for those who have registered and for folks who are part of our membership crew, the DMV Green Market Report at a Glance, which is a little bit of a condensed version of what this conversation was, is available now. That is either placed in the portal for those who are part of the membership crew and or emailed out to the folks who have registered. So this is just giving you an idea of what business looks like and what some of our insights are. We've got a full workbook coming sooner than you think, and it'll really dive deep into what it takes to build, grow, and launch a business. But if you've been following along, or if you're a part of the membership crew, there's information in those places, and we're bringing it all together into a lovely package as we close out Cannabis Continuing Education Month. So that is all that, and that is that. So this is the end of the presentation. Once again, thank you so much for coming through. Let me see if I got something behind that. Yeah, so let me talk a bit about these pathways. You can go ahead and drop your questions if you want to go ahead and do that. But I do want to talk about the pathways to cannabis and why that is so important. So I still remember when I first started this business. And I remember not understanding who or what the MMCC was. I remember not seeing folks who looked like me, whether it was age, race, whatever it may be. It was just like, where are the people who are also doing the moving and the shaking? And I had to realize that in order for folks who look, sound, and breathe like me, whether it's through impact, whether it's through intention, they got to see folks who are doing it. So Pathways to Cannabis, we stand on that because we want people to be able to know that no matter what your skill set is, no matter what you want in this ecosystem, it can be yours. I've been saying this one line all year. So we all know that in the state of Maryland, if you didn't know, Governor Hogan went through some cancer treatments a few years ago, and it's always been alleged that he used medical cannabis. I'm not here to say he did or not, right? Whatever. What I do know is he can wake up tomorrow, because he's still in office, by the way. He can wake up tomorrow and with not the pencil, but with the swipe of his pen, HB1 could be whatever it was, because he can legalize us today. And I always want people to understand that idea that you have of a really cool contraption that you keep your J's in, or even if you happen to be sitting on your job that you don't quite like, but it pays the bills. Think about how you can use that skill that job pays you for in the cannabis industry, because it's needed, whether it's IT, whether it's healthcare, whether it's all of the different things, even teachers, right? I tell people all the time, if you're a teacher, accounting, oh my gosh, do you know how hard it was to find someone to do my books last year? Super hard. It's all about taking those skills that you have and shifting them over into an industry that's folks are still fighting to be a part of. But when they do, and when this industry explodes, as it will, you will be ready. So